Beer Guys Radio Show on demand. Sponsored by HopSpot Beer Tours of Atlanta. Online at HopSpotBeerTours.com. The Beer Guys Radio Show. Live in Atlanta. Saturdays at 1 p.m. Streaming to the world on AM920TheAnswer.com. Proudly broadcasting from the AM 920 studios in Buckhead, Atlanta. It's the Beer Guys Radio Show, the only radio show in the South dedicated to art, science, and enjoyment of craft beer. Now, here are your hosts, Tim Dennis and Aaron Williams.
And welcome to another edition of the Beer Guys Radio Show. I'm Aaron Williams.
And I'm Tim Dennis. And as the man said, we are Georgia Radio for Georgia beer.
Yes, we are.
We cover the craft beer industry in Georgia like no one else. You can stay in touch with us at beerguysradio.com or follow us along on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Check us out.
Absolutely. Plus, go to beerguysradio.com and sign up for Tim's email list, which is This Week in Georgia Beer, and be entered to win some great prizes. Tim, we've got a pretty awesome show today. I'm pretty excited about this. What's going on?
Yeah. So this week we will be talking to Evan Scanlan of Abide Brewing Company. Evan's one of the co-owners there at Abide. And Evan's brought us some beers to share from Abide.
I hope so. I see a cooler down there, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Evan, thanks for joining us,
Yeah,
man.
definitely. Thanks for having me.
Plus, we're going to be talking about an interesting letter I received from one of our colleagues and the economic impact of beer tourism. We'll also have, of course, This Week in Georgia Beer and a giveaway, too.
Yeah.
Very excited about that. So.
Absolutely. Aaron, let's get to it, man. What'd you drink this week?
Listen, I'm not even going to come close to your beer list, which seems to be the way it goes every week. But
can't hang, Aaron.
I can't hang, man. Listen, I want to give out a shout out to Terrapin, though, because it's IPA season for me. And when I'm talking Terrapin IPAs, I usually go with Hopsecutioner. But you know what? I just had their High Five IPA. And I'm a convert, man. Hopsecutioner is great, but that High Five is a really nice West Coast IPA. Citrusy, a really nice drinker, so I'm a fan of that one. And also, you and I also went to the Hapeville, down to the south side a little bit, to check out Arch's Brewing and got to sample a bunch of their beers before they open to the public today. We'll talk about that later. But interesting thing, though, they're making lagers, which is kind of a rarity when it comes to craft beer. Personally, I thought their Dunkel was really on point, and their Pale Ale was solid, too. What'd you think?
I thought they were really tasty beers. And, you and I have talked a little bit about it, Aaron, how I'm not opposed to some of these lager styles coming back. Some of these lighter beers and that. I love a big, heavy, double bourbon barrel stout.
Exactly.
92% stout. But sometimes you want to drink in beer.
No, definitely.
Sit down. So I really enjoyed their I think they call it their unseasonal lager.
Yeah.
The lager that they're doing there. The Dunkel was great. Nice and malty, but, clean, really good flavor there. And that Russian Imperial Stout was tasty, too.
That was pretty much on point, too. So, yeah.
And, and they said there that they're looking. They know the Hapeville community may not be a craft beer community, so to speak. So they want to be the gathering place for Hapeville. Yeah. They want people to come in there that may not have had beer and check it out, kind of introduce them and educate them. So some great segue beers there.
Yeah, and I got a good friend of mine that lives in the Hapeville, East Point area, and they really are very adamant about keeping their stuff local. So I think they're going to do good things there down in the south side.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely.
So it'd be good. Now, you also spent a weekend in Athens last weekend. You visited Creature Comforts, Terrapin, and some little thing they called the Classic City Brew Fest.
Yeah, a little brew fest they
thing
have
there
over there. So yeah, I did. So I did. Went over Saturday morning, stayed over through Sunday for the beer fest. Representing Beer Guys, we had a booth over there, so it was a good time. But so I started off at Creature Comforts, went there, tried to catch the King's Ransom that they just released, which is a collaboration they did with Brooklyn's Other Half, and it's a big, bold Baltic Porter. Really tasty beer. I was able to get some of that. It was Terrapin's Anniversary Fest, their 14th Anniversary Fest, so we went over there. And Aaron, you mentioned the High Five. You would like this. They had, I don't know how many it was, but several casks of High Five that they'd added different fruits and stuff to.
Awesome.
So different variations of that. A huge cask tent with the High Five.
Plus, what was that big car they had? Is that the cargurator?
I call it the cargurator.
It's fantastic.
I dubbed it the cargurator. So yeah, it looks like a can of Hopsecutioner, and the front end you can put a keg of beer in there and serve it just right out of the grill area there.
Yeah. Check out our Instagram feed for pictures of that.
Yeah, I got a picture of that. And then I went to a little gastropub over there that's been getting some talk. Catch 22. We actually tried some of their stuff.
Yeah, they had their tacos at the Tiny Palooza a couple weeks ago.
So check that out. And of course, I had to stop in 5 Points Bottle Shop and pick up one or two beers there.
Yeah, one or two. You got to keep it low key there.
And the festival, just an amazing festival. Everybody's in there. The Graduate Athens Hotel is a very neat venue. The way they had set it up, they had the Cascale Pavilion, different gallerias with the breweries. It just seemed to be very well run. And shout out to Owen Ogletree,
friend of the show,
who does that festival. He did a great job. Everybody had a great time, and we drank some tasty beer.
Yeah, some of the standouts of that. Of course, you were working representing Beer Guy,
I had a friend there with me that brought me a few pours. I definitely didn't get to all of them that I wanted to, but I'd mentioned this a little bit on social media, but Southern Brewing Company had a Fooder beer.
Okay.
One of the first fruited Fooder beer that was really tasty. Just a little bit of tartness. I talked to the brewers some about that. That was nice. And a Wrecking Bar brought their Neapolitan Jimmy Stout.
All right, so strawberry, vanilla, chocolate thing going on?
It was excellent. So, and those are a couple that I mentioned that I remember. A non-Georgia beer, I tried Dankosaurus.
Okay.
I think that's from Cedar Creek. I hadn't tried that before, and that's a nice IPA.
Now, for the uninitiated, what is a Fooder, by the way?
Fooder it's a large. Evan, can you help me out some on this one? Is it?
It's a big.
So it's
barrel,
a huge
right?
wooden vat. So it's kind of like a mega barrel.
Okay.
And I don't know all the details of it, but they're oak. They're wood. I did talk to them some about it. So they've added microbes to that, kind of inoculated the barrel. So as they do, I asked them would they do that kind of Solera style where they pull a little bit and then add more and kind of keep it going. And they said each time they'll mostly drain it and but they'll leave enough in there that's kind of keeps that culture going. So the barrel, the Fooder itself will be inoculated, and each batch of beer they have will get those microbes that are living in the Fooder.
Yeah, popular style over in Europe, Belgium especially. Yeah, that they use a lot of that.
So cool stuff. Really, they're doing really neat stuff over there. And we talked to them some about talking to them. Getting them on the show. We're gonna work that out.
Boy, I tell you, they've got a long way to road to hoe with Terrapin and Creature Comfort. So they've got a big ante to get to if they're going to compete with those guys, because there's Athens is again blowing up as far as the beer scene goes.
It's a great beer town.
Yeah,
it's a fun little town. Everything is fairly close. So in Atlanta you could spend half an hour going from one to the other, and within 10 minutes or so you can be from one place to the next in Athens.
It'd be a nice place for beer tourism. For example.
I don't. That's not legal in our state, Aaron.
It's not. And
so
it's funny because that transitions nicely into some of our headlines that we talked about this week. And you posted something that was pretty interesting from a blog, which is kind of a funny name. This is Why I'm Drunk blog.
Right. So I saw this on the beer forum on Reddit, where they were just talking about beer tourism. Just what it is, and some of the stats that they gave. It's a really good article. Like Aaron said, the name of the blog is "This Is Why I'm Drunk," but a really solid article here. So I think he wrote this at least somewhat sober.
I hope so. Yes.
But just some of the quick stats here: daily spending per tourist in Grand Rapids, Michigan. People going to the city specifically to spend on beer. So they've got 72% of visitors to breweries in Vermont are from out of state, and bringing the tourists in. Just one beer festival in Oregon accounts for $30 million in tourism.
That's a lot of money
in the state. It's massive. So they talked about how Asheville, their brewery district, kind of revitalized kind of a decaying part of the city, kind of brought that back to life, and that. Wicked Weed and Oscar Blues, between the two of them, 500,000 visitors each per year.
Yeah.
So, these are just, the numbers don't lie about it. You've got numbers of people coming in for tourism, for beer tourism. They're spending money on lodging. They're spending money on beer. They have to eat. They're, if someone is bringing the family along or that, they're likely to go do other things there. Yeah. So there's just a lot to be said for beer tourism.
Yeah, and I'm looking at places like Krog Street or someplace downtown around the Beltline. The Beltline would just be perfect for having almost a brewery tour. A walking brewery tour right there between Ponce and then up towards the new facility that they've got there. I'm losing the name, but by their KSM.
PCM.
Yes, by PCM, Ponce City Market. And I think that'd be great. I mean, you've got a couple of them already starting to go there. Of course, Hop City has got it, and I believe it's Torch Top is right there, too. So hopefully that will grow, but, if we had some decent laws that would help us do that, or at least relaxation of them.
Another place, I was talking with Matt that's starting up Variant Brewing in Roswell today, and I told him I think Roswell has the potential to be, because there's another, I just discovered another, read about this Steady Hand Brewing Company is coming to Roswell.
Okay.
There's also a brew pub in planning there. So we've got Gate City.
Right? Yeah.
There's Gate City. There's Abbey of the Holy Goats, variants in planning, Steady Hand, possibly a brew pub. And, Roswell, not a massive city. So it could be quite a scene there if the laws were friendly to allow that.
Yeah, that would be nice. But, so anyway, speaking of laws and interesting emails, one of our colleagues here at the Salem Media Network is Dana Barrett. She does a show on Biz 1190 from 9 to 11. She had our friend Nancy Palmer from the Georgia Craft Brewers Guild on the other day. She got an interesting email that she forwarded to me, and it was from the PR agency for the Georgia Beer Wholesalers Association. And they were basically rebutting everything that Ms. Palmer was saying on Dana's show. And one thing I was interested is that they were talking about brewery growth over the past 20 years, 1995 to 2015. And one of the numbers that the Georgia Beer Wholesalers Association says to kind of prove the point that beer is strong and beer is growing despite our restrictive laws is that the number of brewery permits in Georgia increased 800%. Compared to 524% by the rest of the country. Now, Tim, any reason why they would choose 1995 as a starting point?
It's funny you ask that, Aaron, because there is a reason they would choose 1995 as a starting point.
What would that be?
That is because at that time, brew pubs were not legal in the state.
Interesting.
So until 1996, when brew pubs were legal, and that would definitely account for a fairly good-sized spike in brewery permits.
That it would, and it's interesting. They're talking about having Georgia has nine times as many breweries as it did in 1995 again, because brew pubs were allowed in 95, and compared to beer-friendly states in Colorado and Oregon, the state of Georgia outpaced them in brewery permits again since 1995. Well, that's because Oregon and Colorado has had a ton of breweries, and you've reached that saturation point.
So,
but finally, they also said this is all made possible by the partnerships between distributors and breweries working together to ensure Georgia is now and will always be a great place to produce beer.
Right.
So
there's one other fact they don't mention. In 2004, the ABV cap was raised, and we talked to the guys at Brick Store about that and what that meant for them, just having that ABV cap raised. So you can imagine for the breweries that the growth that we'd see there. And I'm looking into the numbers. There's a lot of data there, Aaron.
Yeah.
And you really could manipulate it to say a bunch of things. So when we get it together, we'll see, exactly what all it says.
We'll definitely explore this in depth in the coming weeks and months.
You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Coming up after the break, we're going to chat with Evan from Abide Brewing, crack open a few of their beers, and talk shop. And we will be right back after this.
Want more beer, guys? Make that want more beer, guys? Follow Tim and Aaron on Twitter at Beer Guys Radio, Facebook, Instagram, and online, beerguysradio.com. The Beer Guys are back after this.
It's Aaron and Tim, the Beer Guys. If you're like us, no lunch or dinner is complete without a pint or two of craft beer.
Which is why Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock is always on our list. Tim, why do they call it Truck and Tap?
Well, the tap part is easy. They have 12 of them. Bottles, too. Not sure what to drink? All of their beer servers are Cicerone certified. And if you got someone who isn't a beer fan, not to worry. Truck and Tap carries wine, mixed drinks, and even handcrafted sodas.
As for the truck part, well, that's when it gets interesting. Truck and Tap features your favorite Atlanta area food trucks daily. That way, you're getting a different menu every day.
Check it out. Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock. Truckandtap.com. Let them know that the Beer Guys sent you.
This is Tim and Aaron from the Beer Guys, and here's the deal. You've got that one friend, that one you can never shop for. He's got all that cool stuff. Yeah, that guy.
Well, we've found something that they don't have, but they're going to want. The Atlanta Brew Box is a Georgia craft beer experience to go. Each box contains tour passes, a t-shirt, and a bunch of other swag from our local breweries. It's fully customizable, and starting at only $40, it's a great gift idea.
It's unique, it's fun, and it is Atlanta. Head to beerguysradio.com, click the link on the right-hand side of our webpage, and that will get you there. It's the Atlanta Brew Box, the Georgia craft experience in a box.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
And welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. And it is Georgia Radio for Georgia Beer. BeerGuysRadio.com, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Beer Guys Radio. Coming up later in the show, we're talking this week in Georgia Beer, including an anniversary party for one of the newest and most popular breweries in the state. I'll leave it up to you to figure out which one that is.
Right. So in the studio with us this week, we have Evan Scanlan from Abide Brewing. Evan's one of the co-owners. Now they're out of Newnan, and they currently serve their craft ales in Coweta, Fayette, Troup, Heard, Harris, and Meriwether counties.
Southside.
Yeah. Evan, welcome to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
No, definitely.
Yeah, we appreciate it. So I tell you what, let's start off with something I enjoy to do. Let's drink a beer.
Yeah, we haven't cracked it open so far.
Evan. So you want to share that with us and tell us a little bit about what we're drinking here?
Yeah, definitely. This is our.
It's carbonated.
Yep, that's good.
It had to do a little traveling to get here.
Fine.
So,
a little road trip.
You're away from the equipment, so it's good.
This is our Coweta Common. Is our hoppy American blonde. Comes in at 5%. Kind of our gateway beer.
There you go.
I mean, there's a lot of beer drinkers that really don't like big IPAs,
Sure, right,
or that kind of stuff. So we just did this as a kind of entry beer.
Awesome, thank you.
Now, speaking of that, so where you guys are, do you see that? Is there much of the craft beer geeks there, or are you seeing people who look for more of the simple beers?
We have a lot more simple beer drinkers. I mean, we're a dry county as well, so there's no package stores. There's no liquor stores. There's one growler shop in Newnan. There's one in Peachtree City, some Kroger's and Publix, but there's not a place to go for liquor and wide range of beers.
Okay, gotcha.
Sure.
All right.
Cheers, by the way.
Yeah, cheers
guys. The aroma on that's great. Color's great. Nice golden, clear golden. That's really nice.
And we designed it just for the everyday drinker. If you're going out to eat pizza, wings, or just kind of a basic entry beer that you can drink.
Tim, what do you call these?
These are drinking beers.
Drinking beers, exactly.
And I stole that from my buddy Adam. That's his drinking beer.
Yeah, and I love this. This is the kind of beer I'd have. I always say when I'm out doing yard work or playing with the kids all day, and I'm just hot and it's the summertime. This is perfect. So it's really good.
Yeah,
sponsored by Truck and Tap, by the way. So thanks to the guys at Truck and Tap on that one.
So I tell you what, Evan, won't you want to tell us a little bit about your story, kind of how you got into brewing, how you guys got met up, started your brewery?
Yeah, it's myself, Matt, and Phil kind of met locally. We're sitting around and met them having a beer.
As you do, right?
Yeah, and we just started talking, and they said, "Oh, we brew beer too," and kind of hit it off, and just said, "Let's get together and brew some beer." So weeks after weeks after weeks brewing, and it kind of sucked brewing 10 gallons of beer for 3 people. So we decided to kind of build a little bigger system so we can brew same amount of time for 5, 10, 15, 20 gallons, enjoy it and take a few more kegs home each. And it kind of snowballed from there to let's open a small brewery. Start small, build a brand, and see where it goes.
Now, how big's your brew house there right now?
We operate as a 3-barrel brew house. We have 24 barrels of fermentation capacity. So we do brew, at a single time 3 barrels, but we have the ability to, send out, 6 to 7 barrels per week.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
So you're pretty busy out there.
Yeah,
we're out. Yeah.
Matt and Phil were there brewing today. We're running at full capacity. We're turning beers as fast as we can. It's just,
and this isn't your full-time job either, too.
No,
right?
no. I'm an assistant superintendent in golf force. Matt does IT work, and Phil does sales and marketing for a healthcare provider.
So it is a full-time job at the brewery.
Yeah,
but
double
exactly.
full-time.
This is your second full-time job, right?
Exactly.
So now you live in Newnan. Is that home base for you?
Yes, all 3 of us there live in Newnan. Phil and I are kind of from Peachtree City, Newnan area. Matt came down from Maryland. He had a family down here and came down for to kind of be close to the family. Okay.
Now that was not much else. Definitely not another brewery in that area. So was the fact that it's home and there was nothing there? Is that why you decided to kind of build in Newnan?
Yeah. When we want to go drink beer, we had to come out of Newnan and go to Atlanta. So we decided kind of take what we wanted people to come do to come down to Newnan and see us. But yeah, we started because that's home, and Newnan needed a brewery, and we decided to let Newnan have their first brewery.
Now, you guys have a pretty nice tasting room there, don't you? I believe I've seen pictures. I haven't been down to visit yet. Need to do that, but I've seen some pictures, and you have some pretty nice gatherings there at your brewery, don't you?
Yeah. It's every week. It's we get anywhere from 50 to 75, or even more than that. We have a lot of new people. A lot of people come down from Atlanta area, come over from Carrollton, come up from LaGrange, Columbus, but it's a pretty good crowd.
It's the Beer Guys Radio Show, and we're talking with Evan Scanlan from Abide Brewing in Newnan. Now, you just celebrated your 1-year anniversary, had a big old block party out there. How's the community been so far?
It's been great. It's really been great. We were kind of worried because when we first opened, there was no laws to have a brewery, so we had to go get everything changed, everything legalized, and we didn't know how that was going to be accepted from the community. And they pretty much opened wide-armed and said, they're 100% supportive, and they're back behind us, and it's pretty crazy. It's pretty wild.
That's good, because I know some communities that can be the challenge, is if there's not been any, ground broke there before in those areas, it can be quite a hurdle to get that going.
And the fact that there's, still a dry county, so we didn't know how that was going to play into part of it and how they would accept that. You
need to trade names with this other brewery that's coming up there in Kennesaw if you guys are in a dry county there, so maybe see if they want to swap with you there. So
it's dry county, by the way, up in Kennesaw. We talked about it a couple weeks ago anyway. But, are you looking to expand in the rest of the Atlanta metro area? I mean, right now you're on the south side. Are you looking to grow with that eventually?
Yes. We currently occupied more space just recently, so we have a whole additional 1,800 square feet that we're going to put a 10-barrel brew house in. Mm-hmm. And we will expand our distribution to probably the 10 to 15 surrounding counties. I'm not sure if we're quite ready for the heart of Atlanta market yet, but we're going to kind of inch our way that way and see how it goes for us.
So over to Henry County, down to Macon, and that kind of area is what you're looking for. So, good. Are you looking to maybe expand to cans and bottles eventually too, or are you just kind of looking to start slow here in your second year of operation?
Yeah, we'll probably start slow. At least get the new brew house up and running and see how much more man labor it's going to take to get and cost to get into either some type of package. I know people are starting to use these mobile cannings and everything else that we're weighing all these different options, but definitely our first goal is to get our new facility up and running.
Yeah, that's something we hear a lot of breweries talking about that. Do you invest in a canning line out of the gate or bottling canning line? There's at least there is the option, like with the 2-can guys, that they can come there if you decide you want to package later. So that's this seems like a good way to go. Get something people take to the beach, especially a beer like this. Nice easy drinker like this Coweta Common. Something you can
play
take
golf,
with you
for example.
That's right,
at Evans Golf Course, and go from there. So. Definitely good. It's interesting that we have kind of seen an emergence of sort of drinking beers, for lack of a better term. Right. I know we have Lake Country that's coming up over in Lake Oconee. You guys, Dry County makes drinking beers as well. It's nice to kind of see that develop and kind of that art develop, because really with a beer like this, there's nowhere to hide. You can't hide it in a big old bourbon barrel and knock it off from there. You've got to be pretty good at what you're doing to pull this one off, right?
Yeah.
Now, we talked a little bit about the community and kind of that it's not necessarily a beer geeky area there. So are you finding a lot of people that are coming in have questions, education, things like that, or do they just come in, drink the beer, and hang out?
Well, yeah, a lot of people come in and ask questions, and, you always have those people. It's like, well, we want a double IPA, we want a triple IPA, we want a stout, bourbon stout, all that kind of stuff. We do a lot of random one-offs at the brewery. We do have a 13 tap list during tours, and it rotates very often, almost weekly. And that's where we do experiment with bigger IPAs and beers with vanilla bean oak, or beers with, just anything that's not quite normal.
Awesome. We're going to take a quick break here. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Coming up after the break, we'll talk more with Evan from Abide Brewing. We'll crack open another Truck and Tap Beer of the Week, and so we will be back right after this.
Miss a show? No problem. Get the Beer Guys Radio Show on demand on the AM 920 The Answer mobile app, on iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, it's Aaron. I want to give a quick shout out to our newest sponsor. It's HopSpot Beer Tours of Atlanta. Now, there's a lot of tours out there, but what makes HopSpot Beer Tours different? Well, you get exposure. There's more to Atlanta craft beer than just breweries. A HopSpot Beer Tour gives you the who, what, where, and when to craft beer right here in Atlanta and the state. Education. Whether you're a native, a transplant, or a visitor, you'll always learn something new. And connection. HopSpot connects you to guests, local breweries, and businesses ways to create those lasting relationships. We invite you to check out what makes HopSpot different. Like them on Facebook, follow them on Twitter and Instagram at HopSpotATL, and of course, visit HopSpotBeerTours.com. Use promo code BeerGuys10 and receive 10% off your order. HopSpot Beer Tours. Hop on, get connected. That's HopSpotBeerTours.com.
Don't forget to drink local and drink Georgia. Now, back to the Beer Guys.
And it's the Beer Guys Radio Show, Georgia Radio for Georgia Beer. BeerGuysRadio.com, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Beer Guys Radio. Coming up later in the show, we're going to be talking this week in Georgia beer.
Right, but right now we are back with Evan from Abide Brewing in Newnan, and we're going to crack open their pale ale here in a couple minutes. This is our Truck and Tap Beer of the Week. And I got a question for you about Abide. So the name Abide, I know what I think of when I think of the word. So where'd the name of the brewery come from?
It's a very common question. We started in Newnan and there was no regulation for it, so we kind of took it as the definition to abide by the rules, to accept the objection. You know, we're here trying to be who we are, and you know, I don't know, it's
trying to abide
by the rules.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Doesn't have anything to do with a movie that has a dude in it.
The dude.
Exactly.
The dude abides.
The dude abides. So.
Cool. Let's talk about your beer. Go ahead.
They always says abide one time in the movie.
He does. Does he only? I didn't realize that.
Only one time.
And isn't it funny how that'll happen? How a little thing like that'll get stuck, and that's that'll go on and on and on. So, well, let's tell you what. Let's talk about your beers.
Okay.
So we started out with your Coweta Common, and this is you said kind of a hoppy Belgian blonde.
Well, this kind of hoppy American blonde.
Hoppy American blonde. Excuse me. Yeah. So
you just like Belgians too much. You just have to get that in your head.
That's like, the thing. You know, anytime I hear blonde, I got to admit I think Belgian. That kind of sticks with me. The Belgian blonde. So that's and I think you're getting ready to share your pale ale with us here, right?
Yeah. Our next beer is our local pale ale. Comes in at 6%. It's kind of our East Coast, West Coast pale ales. Can be kind of earthy, a little bit piney, citrusy, and we kind of use a non-traditional dry hop. We use it Summit at the end. So it's kind of non-traditional for the dry hop sense.
Open the beer, Evan.
Let's do it.
Open the beer. It's fun to try all the different dry hop styles and all that we've got there too. It's amazing that it changes a beer. You know, you change up the hops, get a little different thing.
And nowadays, I mean, there's so many varieties out there now, and of course, some are becoming harder to get. But you know, you could go years almost and dry hop different types of hops and see what it goes.
And even with that, and there's ones that continue to come out, you know, experimental varieties and all that. So
college is good for something when they make all those experimental hops.
So now another beer you have Asian Persuasion.
Hey now,
right?
Yeah, it's our summer seasonal. That's it's a pale wheat with fresh lemongrass and ginger. It's a beer we've been brewing for quite a while, and it's a pretty good hit in the summertime.
Yeah, it sounds refreshing.
Definitely.
Yeah, awesome.
And then, of course, you've got the Browns Mill Brown. Browns Mill, I'm not as familiar with the South Side as I should be. That has to do with something local. I know it does.
Yeah, it's named after the Battle of Browns Mill.
I knew that.
Down there in Coweta County.
Very cool.
Yeah.
It sounded familiar to me, too.
I'm a history minor.
Bring the local history into it.
I'm a history minor. I should have known that. It's terrible. That's it.
So now you also do limited releases and seasonal releases, and that falls under what you call your Three Rivers and the Dude series, right?
Exactly, yeah. The current Three Rivers series is our IPA. It's just a big West Coast IPA. We haven't done anything under the Dude series. That's going to be more of our higher gravity, our doubles, or anything that's
your imperial type styles.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
We haven't quite done that yet. We've been pretty much full time on our core beers and one seasonal at a time at the moment.
Boy, I tell you what, I'm drinking your local pale ale. This is right up my alley, right here. I like a nice hoppy pale ale, like a Sierra Nevada, and this is hitting it for me. I really enjoy this.
Yeah, a little earthy, a little piney, a little citrusy.
Yeah. This just crosses my threshold. Aaron and I chat about this. He jokes with me about it a lot. I used to say I don't like IPAs. I don't like hoppy pales and that, but I'm coming around. I still like the bitterness low. So this is tasty. I mean, it's tasty beer, but for my personal palate, it just kind of crosses my threshold there.
Yeah,
I'm still going to drink it.
This is good. It's not again overly hoppy, overly bitter. It's good, solid. Like I said, very similar to a Sierra Nevada pale ale. and it's got a nice hoppy nose to it, and like you said, a little bit of a pine to it. It's the Beer Guys Radio Show. We're talking with Evan Scanlan from Abide Brewing in Newnan. What are some of the releases that you've got coming up? Anything you're working on?
We just released our IPA. It's a West Coast IPA. And then summertime coming up, we'll release our Asian Persuasion. We kind of see what's going on in the tap room. We have a lot of beers on tap and see what's been popular. But we're just so limited to about 3 beers at one time at the moment.
With a size brew house and fermentation and having full-time day jobs, right?
Yeah, tank's empty, gets filled back up, and it gets empty, gets filled back up. So it's kind of we don't want to lose a tap space on our core beers, our common, our pale for sure. And if we can rotate the Browns Mill in with the next seasonal, that's what we're going to do. But we definitely don't want to losing tap space. So it's kind of making sure our core beers, the common, the pale, are always on tap somewhere.
Now, you mentioned a little bit about the laws there, being a dry county and having to abide by kind of the rules there. We're currently eagerly awaiting in Georgia the updated regulations from the DOR. They released that, and we're kind of in the middle of the 30-day comment period here, and then there's a 20-day wait after that is issued before they go active. So I think I did the math, and we're looking May 26th-ish is what I looked at. So with the new regulations, if they go into effect, do you see any changes for your brewery or anything the way you do things?
We should be able to benefit from it and a little bit of it. I mean, being as small as we are, we can't offer the full to-go packages like some of the bigger breweries can. We could do it on our core beers, but we can't have a random one-off as a package to go deal. But it is going to help us. I mean, we're small, so any type of extra revenue for us is beneficial. But it's still needs a lot of work. I mean, It needs a lot of work. There's so many other states around us that have far better laws than we do.
Almost all of them.
Everyone except Mississippi. Let's put it that way.
So it's still still a long ways to go, and something we're going to cover a little more in depth in the future is there are certain beverage industries in Georgia that can get some exemptions to where they can sell or self-distribute in that, and like the article we were talking about earlier, there are just so many benefits to be gained from that, for the wholesalers as well. I mean, you get, we were talking to Wicked Weed, and, they do self-distribution, but they've grown to where that's too much for them.
Yeah.
And they need to get a distributor to help them to grow so everybody can benefit from that. Yeah. So that's just kind of the way it goes. Hopefully we'll get there. Now, Evan, we talked about your beers, your brewery, and all of this. So anything else that you'd like to share about kind of what you guys are doing or anything you want folks to know about you?
That we're a little small brewery in Newnan. Come down and see us. I mean, we're open every Saturday, 1 to 5. Full-time jobs doesn't allow us to be open more than we would like to. But we're open every Saturday. It's a fun time. We have 13 beers on tap that rotate. Cornhole, music, and it's a good time. People enjoy it.
Oh, and cool. This, some people in Atlanta may not know this, that Newnan actually is inhabited. I mean, people do live there. Correct?
Yeah.
There is life
come
OTP.
Down, check out the
right.
brewery, and see what's going on there. So great. Evan, we really appreciate you, speaking to us today, telling us about your brewery. I look forward to coming down and visiting with you guys some, and drinking some more of your beers. Coming down and see what you got on the tap room there. So,
thanks for having me.
You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We're going to take a quick break. Coming up afterwards, we're going to talk about this week in Georgia beer, and we'll be right back.
Hey everybody, it's Scott from Burnt Hickory Brewery in lovely Kennesaw, Georgia. You're listening to Beer Guys Radio, Georgia beer for Georgia people.
Georgia radio for Georgia beer.
This is Tim and Aaron from the Beer Guys, and here's the deal. You've got that one friend, that one you can never shop for. He's got all that cool stuff. Yeah, that guy.
Well, we found something that they don't have, but they're going to want. The Atlanta Brew Box is a Georgia craft beer experience to go. Each box contains tour passes, a t-shirt, and a bunch of other swag from our local breweries. It's fully customizable, and starting at only $40, it's a great gift idea.
It's unique, it's fun, and it is Atlanta. Head to beerguysradio.com, click the link on the right-hand side of our webpage, and that will get you there. It's the Atlanta Brew Box, the Georgia craft experience in a box.
It's Aaron and Tim, the beer guys. If you're like us, no lunch or dinner is complete without a pint or two of craft beer.
Which is why Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock is always on our list. Tim, why do they call it Truck and Tap?
Well, the tap part is easy. They have 12 of them. Bottles, too. Not sure what to drink? All of their beer servers are Cicerone certified. And if you got someone who isn't a beer fan, not to worry. Truck and Tap carries wine, mixed drinks, and even handcrafted sodas.
As for the truck part, well, that's when it gets interesting. Truck and Tap features your favorite Atlanta area food trucks daily. That way, you're getting a different menu every day.
Check it out. Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock. Truckandtap.com. Let them know that the beer guys sent you.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
And welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. I'm Aaron Williams, and we are Georgia Radio for Georgia Beer. BeerGuysRadio.com, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Beer Guys Radio. Wrapping up today's show with a little bit of news and notes. We kind of got sidetracked with all the Georgia law stuff.
We were talking and drinking and this and that, so it happens. Aaron.
Yeah, exactly.
So why don't you fill us in, man? We got some news tidbits to share. Tell us what's up.
Yeah, we do. So interesting notes from actually one of our very first interviews as Beer Guys, Baron Sluter.
Yeah.
Congratulations to him. He's been named brewmaster at Dry County up in Kennesaw. Again, we talked to them a couple of weeks ago at the Depot Park Beer Festival. So good for him. Dry County, of course, expanding a little bit and growing slowly.
Yeah, and on our first interview that we did with him, Barron was going to go to Georgia Beer Company. We did put this on our website, but just due to some personal reasons, he couldn't go down to Georgia Beer Company.
And that's all the way down in Valdosta, right? So
this just takes him back over to Kennesaw.
Yeah.
So with Dry County. So very cool. Yeah. Good group of guys.
Definitely.
Barron, Trey, Coop, all good people.
Yeah, definitely good guys. So interesting notes from our neighbors to the north. Of course, North Carolina's been in the news so far with their quote-unquote bathroom bill, talking about gay and transgender rights, and I'm not getting into that because this is not that type of show, but it's interesting
beer
that...
Beer loves all people.
Exactly. Beer loves all people. And but interesting, though, 36 North Carolina breweries have signed up to sell a brew aimed at fighting this law. It's called the Don't Be Mean Beer. And what's happened is that Mystery Beer and Ponysaurus is brewing a Saison, and they have a fundraising campaign with it, offering $18,000 so far with that campaign. So I say it not to have a political agenda, but I say it to interesting the power and the community of beer. I thought that was an interesting thing about that.
Yeah, come together, absolutely.
Yes.
So.
Speaking of the lack of being partners in community focus, unfortunately, another one bites the dust. When it comes to craft beer, AB InBev has acquired Devil's Backbone from Virginia. So, again, there's another one that is gone under the label of big beer.
And I think in the news stories they did use the term partners.
Partners, quote unquote. That's the press release story.
Yes.
We took you over and now we're going to do what you need to do. So, anyway, there's an interesting story, by the way. The last week, Shoney's. Now, when you think of Shoney's, Tim, what do you think of?
2 a.m. breakfast bars after drinking till 1:45 a.m.
Exactly. But you know what? There's a new Shoney's in Ackworth that has opened up that eliminates the middleman because they're now serving beer.
That's the way I like it.
It is absolutely brilliant. So you can go to Shoney's, get your drink on, and then have your breakfast at 2 a.m., which is good. And plus, they've got some local taps on there.
Biscuits and gravy and a big shanty, right?
That's what I'm talking about. So Monday Night Brewing has on tap, Burn Hickory Brewing and Reformation all on tap at the Shoney's in Ackworth. And by the way, there's a very, very famous owner of that, which is awesome. Big Papa Pump, a.k.a. Scott Steiner.
Crazy. Did you see the pictures on Facebook?
I did, yes.
All kinds of big... Now, I'm not a wrestling fan, but I know it's big around here.
Still
but I
real
saw
to me.
Jeff Jarrett was there. Big Papa Pump was there. There were several...
Kevin Nash, I think, was there, too. So we need to get Joey back in because Joey's a huge wrestling fan.
See?
But,
Tell him to go up at Shoney's. He can hang out with the wrestlers up there.
Exactly. So, by the way, Big Papa Pump, if you're listening to the show, we want you on, and we'll talk Shoney's in Ackworth there, too. Another opening, interesting, actually, World of Beer is expanding, and they're actually opening in a place that I wouldn't expect them to open in Augusta. So good for them.
When I saw this, I thought, we've got the breweries coming up there, the World of Beer is coming there. So good for Augusta because that's been kind of a ghost town for craft beer. So it's great that they're getting some stuff there.
Yeah, definitely a dead area, and it's Georgia's second biggest city. So good for them. Again, it's crazy to think about that. I never thought that Augusta was the second biggest city in Georgia, but it is. And again, they've got those two breweries opening up, World of Beer. Hopefully they'll get back into the craft brew scene. Maybe we'll take a trip up there and go from there.
Covering all the corners of Georgia.
That's what we're trying to do, absolutely. So, you know what? I love watching TV. Of course, everyone loves watching TV. But I love the reality shows where they kind of do a makeover and they do they make over the businesses. You know, like The Prophet on CNBC. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
I haven't seen that one.
Okay, there's another one called Bar Rescue, by the way. Have you heard that one before?
I have heard of that one.
Okay, as a guy, I guess his name is John Taffer, and he's like a bar expert, whatever. But he goes into failing bars, and he remakes them, and hopefully turns a profit. Basically, these bars are just junky dive
kitchen nightmares for bars,
exactly,
right?
That's exactly what it is. Well, it was funny for me that, of course, you have to do quote-unquote product placement these days, and they do a lot of product placement. The one that they just showed last week was in St. Louis. So they had Budweiser everywhere. I mean, it was
awesome.
Budweiser murals. They had Budweiser beer on draft. All their food was Budweiser. They had AB InBev bigwigs into the bar, like testing out their glass. So basically, it was an entire 55-minute infomercial for Budweiser, which kind of turned my stomach. But then at the end of the show, they say 6 weeks later, this is what happened. Well, I love the fact
they were acquired by AB InBev.
Well, no, even better. They said 6 weeks later they shut down and they're only available for private events only, and everyone left. So,
all right then.
So Budweiser did not really work out for this St. Louis thing.
See, I was thinking, you're talking St. Louis. I thought maybe Schlafly or side project or something, but I don't think they have advertising budgets that Budweiser does.
Yeah, they had quite the advertising budget. So anyway, I love Bar Rescue, but that one just kind of turned my stomach, and I just had a kick out of saying that it shut it down because of Budweiser. So stuff that's not shut down, we've got a lot of things going on this week in Georgia Beer.
We're going to hook it up.
Absolutely.
No shutting it down, hook it up. So we're going to start out this week in Georgia Beer. We got some goodies to give away.
Cool.
So, and we're going to have a little swag pack here that we'll send out. And our winner this week is Lindsay Berg.
Nice.
So congratulations, Lindsay. We'll drop you an email to get your contact details, and we'll send you along a very cool swag pack,
including some swag from Abide.
Right. We got some awesome stuff that Evan just was nice enough to bring us. So
yeah, pretty psyched about that.
We appreciate
that. Thank you.
Enjoy.
Definitely.
So, and then other stuff, all kinds of good stuff, events, beer releases, all of that. So today is busy, Aaron.
Yes, it is. In fact, we're ducking out of here pretty quick and coming up to Athens.
We got stuff to do, Aaron. Well, there is beer that needs to be drank in Athens, Georgia. So that's it. But started off, is the Creature Comforts 2-year anniversary. That was last year was a huge one. I know I heard about that. So we're going to be over there enjoying that, checking it out in Athens again.
So swing by and say hi to us. Yes.
Yeah, say hello. So we've also got the Helen Spring Beer Fest. That starts at noon, and that's in the Helen Fest Hall there. So neat little town if you haven't been to Helen. I think probably most people in the Atlanta area have at least done a trip to Helen.
What, Helen,
Georgia?
Oktoberfest.
Oktoberfest. I haven't been up there for Oktoberfest.
It's a huge hit. It really is. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I have to do that sometime. It's I'm all for drinking, Hefeweizens and this and that.
And the Dunkels
having some German food. I'm all about that, so that's cool. We also have Suds on the Square from noon to 5 p.m. in Fayetteville.
I'll be there pouring beer.
Okay.
Yep, come by and see us. I'm not sure where we're at yet set up, but I'll be there. Come by, say hi. We got some stickers and stuff we'll have to hand out. So
cool.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, go by. Say hi. Try their beer. Try the Coweta Common, right?
I think Common and Pale Ale is what we'll have on tap there.
Very cool. Excellent. So also the Hogs and Hop Festival in historic Old Fourth Ward Park. We've got an oyster roast at the Wing Cafe and Tap House in Marietta.
Yep.
Arch's grand opening.
Congratulations to them. Yes.
So anniversaries, grand openings, beer festivals. We've got also, you can check out our first look. We visited Arch's last week, as we mentioned. We did a little write up on the website, so check that out if you're trying to decide whether or not you want to go down and visit Hapeville. Go. Yeah, just go.
And the cool thing about that, what Arch's is doing is they're kind of staggering the releases, so they're not kind of flooding the entire brewery with people at the first day. So you can buy tickets, and it's a kind of a staggered opening, which is nice.
Yeah, now I noticed something. I saw 3 to 6 p.m. listed on the Facebook page, but I believe their website shows starting 2 p.m. for tickets. So check that out. You may be able to get into a little earlier than I thought there. And then tomorrow evening, if you're still standing upright, or if you take it a little light during the day, Orpheus is doing a barrel-aged beers and cheese pairing event.
That sounds something that's right up Jason's alley.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. I love beer and cheese. They pair really nice together. So if we weren't over on the other side of Georgia, I'd definitely check that one out. So that's going to be good. And then next Thursday, a little quiet the first part of the week, but Thursday over at Red Hair, they're having a Triumph and Red Hair Scrambler night. So they're going to have some motorcycles out there,
all right,
serving the beer. So check it out. So some beer releases for the week, Aaron.
Yes.
One that was released a little earlier this week. This is brewery only, but it's the first bottled sour beer from Red Brick.
Very cool.
And that's called their Solera Project Number 1. So that's one. Check it out. Go by the brewery, see if any are left. It is very limited, so you may be out of luck there. But it is a blend of barrel-aged beers aged with lactobacillus and Brettanomyces.
Interesting.
So,
okay.
yeah, so good stuff. So the Three Taverns Double Shot bottle release.
That's a great beer. Have you had that before?
I haven't had it this year.
Oh, it's really good.
But everyone that I've talked to that's had that has said, that's an excellent beer.
Yeah, the guys at Lincoln Fill Station turned me on to that one earlier last week, and it's good stuff.
But they did the brewery release on that last night.
Okay.
So I'm not sure the details on getting to market, but it should be out there soon. And Three Taverns also released the next in their Sour Asylum series, Sour Asylum number 6, Provence, and this is a lacto-fermented ale with lavender and sage.
Okay.
So yeah, they do some fun stuff.
Yeah,
some
definitely.
creative stuff, and I've tried some of those that the flavor combinations sound unusual to me, but some of them end up working out really well.
Of course, we're also talking about the guy who also brewed a
I
roasted tomato,
knew you were going to say that,
and basil saison.
Yes.
So there you go.
Yeah, we did. But that, as I said, that was my buddy Brian's idea. But yeah, sun dried tomato, basil saison. It was actually quite tasty. So, some other beers coming up, some planned releases, something coming in the future from Georgia breweries. We've got Sweetwater Barrel Aged Festival. They're going to take their Festival and age it with Brett. Do some barrel aging with Brett. Also, Sweetwater is going to do a blood orange version of their Take 2 pills.
Interesting.
So there's a lot of blood orange IPAs. We've seen a lot of those coming out.
Yeah.
But they're going to take a little lighter style, throw some blood orange in it. So a Pilsner with blood orange. Sounds good, huh?
That does sound pretty good.
Yeah.
I do like the blood orange. Of course, Terrapin had the Walking Dead IPA.
Right.
Digits up at Burnt Hickory has the blood orange as well.
The one from
Clown Shoes,
the Aurora Orangealis. And that was tasty. That was a good beer.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Because we kind of joke with them when we talk to them that, did you pick blood orange for your beer because of all the ones we've got here in Georgia? They're like, no, it was just kind of coincidental. But we do. There are a lot of them around here, and several of our breweries have done them. I'm okay with that. Yeah. I enjoy the flavor in beer.
No, it is good. Definitely good. So, well, speaking of good, not good, we're almost out of time. Actually, we are out of time. It's very sad.
It happens.
Yes, exactly. So that's all we've got for this week. This week's Beer Guys Radio Show. Coming up next week, though, I'm excited for this one. We're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to pair beer with cigars.
Crazy.
You're a cigar guy.
I am.
I'm a cigar guy.
Yep.
We're going to be looking forward to this.
And we're going to have some really knowledgeable folks on here to help us out with that.
Yeah, definitely. Broadcasting from the Buckhead Cigar Bar with a Stogie Review blogger, friend of the show, and your partner in homebrewing, Brian Hewitt, will join us. And also the owner of Atlanta's own El Primer Mundo Cigars, Sean Williams, will be with us as well. So looking forward to that. We're going to have some strong beers and some strong cigars. Evan, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks,
we
guys.
Appreciate it, Ben.
Definitely. All right, we're the Beer Guys, and we'll talk to you next week. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Miss a show? All shows are on demand on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and wherever you get your podcasts. Follow Tim and Aaron on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Beer Guys Radio. Call the AL line at 678-861-8AL. More Beer Guys coming up next week. Same time, same place, same tap. Till then, here's to you.
Hey, it's Aaron. I want to give a quick shout out to our newest sponsor. It's HopSpot Beer Tours of Atlanta. Now, there's a lot of tours out there, but what makes HopSpot Beer Tours different? Well, you get exposure. There's more to Atlanta craft beer than just breweries. A HopSpot Beer Tour gives you the who, what, where, and when to craft beer right here in Atlanta and the state. Education. Whether you're a native, a transplant, or a visitor, you'll always learn something new. And connection. HopSpot connects you to guests, local breweries, and businesses to create those lasting relationships. We invite you to check out what makes HopSpot different. Like them on Facebook, follow them on Twitter and Instagram at HopSpotATL, and of course, visit HopSpotBeerTours.com. Use promo code BeerGuys10 and receive 10% off your order. HopSpot Beer Tours. Hop on, get connected. That's HopSpotBeerTours.com.